What is up, ladies and gentlemen? I am completely pissed. I was gonna write a script for this video. Why am I still getting hate?
Hey, what's up guys, it's Scares here, and so from now on, I'm going to report the news. Let's go inside the stories!
Expose, 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 expose. You're exposed. You're exposed. You are exposed. Expose, 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 expose. You are exposed, sir. I'm gonna expose you. Expose you. Oh my God, expose you. Expose, 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 expose. It's time for some exposure. Some exposure. Some exposure. Ah, expose. Expose myself to you. To you. To you. E-X-P-O-S-E. Expose. 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 Ah. Expose. 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 Exposed. 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 Hashtag drama alert. There's news to expose. Hashtag breaking. SS Sniper Wolf has a vagina. More of that at 11. Vagina. Hey guys,
Hello,
it's Scares
everybody.
here. Lots of news today. Lots of exposure.
Yes.
And double upload.
I'm here with Vaush, the two communists that are on the same stream.
Howdy. It's been known, communism is pretty cool thing. I've heard, read a couple of books,
There is a person, and first off, Vaush
You
is
are exposed.
political
Exposed.
left-leaning. I don't like to put people in a box.
You are
Left-leaning
exposed, sir.
commentator on
I'm going to
YouTube.
expose you.
And
Oh my
when
God, expose
I
you.
said that, hey, I'm a fan of
What is
Vaush's
up, ladies and
streams, I
gentlemen?
like
I
them.
am just I am
The music
completely
is still on, I
pissed.
know.
I was
That's
gonna write
on
a
me.
script for
Oops.
this video. Why am I still
That there was a lot of people that were not very happy with that at all.
That's okay. I don't take it personally. I'm just happy to have the opportunity to talk with you. Yeah, I've known about you for well longer than I've had a channel. So I think it's pretty wild talking to you.
I'm sure you heard wonderful things about me as well.
Of course, we're two fine, reputable people on the internet. No, it really is a delight. I know I already
No, thank
asked you
you.
this, but for performativity's sake, how you doing this fine morning?
What happened? What'd you say? Say that again?
Oh, for performativity's sake, since I already asked you before you went live, how you doing this fine morning?
I'm doing just dandy. I am fucking exhausted. I was up late. I got up early, and here I am right now. I'm not used to. I usually get up around like 10, 11, start working around 12-ish. But yeah, I didn't get to bed till late last night because I had other shit going on. So
Both living the life right now.
yeah, Vaush and I were talking about how we have no. I at least have zero time management skills, and I probably have ADHD as well. And he was talking to you. I'm kind of bringing it up now. Have you talked about the fact you have ADHD on your streams?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay,
I'm super
okay.
forthcoming about that stuff. Yeah, 100%.
What made you get diagnosed for it? What did you notice?
Well, my whole life I've not been the best at concentrating on tasks that I didn't want to do. Now that's mostly responding to emails, which unfortunately takes up a lot of my time. But that could have also been homework, back when I was younger. And it was almost, I mean, it was like pathologically incapable of doing some of this stuff, even if it was easy. When you put off a task for hours and hours, and then when you actually do it, it's 5 minutes. You get far more, you're far more miserable delaying the damn thing than you are by actually going ahead and doing it. I think everyone does that to an extent, but when people do it so often and so severely, it's called executive dysfunction, which is a component of ADHD. So I went ahead and got a diagnosis, and I got some very light Adderall prescription, and it's been super cool.
It's really helped, man, huh? Because that's the thing, and people kind of like just look at it as laziness, and it's not. Like, you could probably, like, I feel like my brain freezes. Does that make sense? Like,
oh yeah, for sure. But it's absolutely not laziness, though, because ADHD can often manifest as hyperfixating on tasks and committing a ton of time to them. It's not so much about whether you're lazy, it's about whether you're good at directing your energy at the things that you need to do.
Yeah, and I know, because like I was saying to Vaush, one of my exes said to me, she was like, yeah, I think you have ADHD, and she made me take a test, and I ticked every single fucking box for it. And I was just like, yeah, you're probably right. I probably do need to get that checked out. Someone says I have crazy ADHD, literally can't go to sleep any later than 3 a.m. no matter how hard I try. That's something with ADHD too, huh? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's really difficult sometimes to land a solid diagnosis, because as with a lot of conditions like that, there's a God, how do you say it? It's the ADHD, autism, and the like correspond to like hundreds and hundreds of like little behavioral characteristics and quirks that can vary in a bunch of different little ways. So it's like kind of trying to self-diagnose sometimes is like looking at a complicated painting and trying to guess what the average color of that painting is. It can be really difficult to do. But there are signs that you can point to. I mean, if you're looking at a painting of the ocean, you can probably guess it's somewhere in the bluish range. But it's always worth dropping in to talk to a doctor if you can. Obviously, that could be expensive, but
No, I have, yeah, I do have. I was gonna do it, and then I couldn't find. Like, they called me in to take, like, hey, we could set up an appointment with you. Oh crap, I can't find my insurance card. Oh, that sucks. You'll have to call us back.
I found out I didn't actually have insurance when all this happened. I
Oh,
thought that
yay!
I thought I had insurance, but it turns out there was some bureaucratic nonsense that I'd forgotten to do months ago. So this whole time, every doctor appointment and physical therapy visit and everything like that, I was like, yeah, bill my insurance. And I just gave them a completely defunct insurance card number. So that's been fun.
Oh, I'm sure you got plenty of calls, and all of a sudden you had magical bills showing up at your doorstep that you didn't think you were ever going to get, right?
Oh yeah, that was a lot of fun. But we took care of that, so I'm not gonna die. I'll survive the experience.
Yeah, and it's amazing how magically fast your credit score will drop if one of those bills is like a month late. It's like, oh wow, I went from having a 700 credit score to a 500. It's anyway, that's something private insurance, but
good thing I have no hope of buying a house anytime in the future in this market anyway. So it's very much a hypothetical drain on my life.
Dude, the prices of houses are insane. They're absolutely.
Where do you live? Like specifically?
I live.
Well, not too specifically.
I live upstate New York. I mean, I've been doxxed 678 times, so it is what it is. But I live in upstate New York. I'm actually buying a house from a family member, which is why I'm buying one now, because the house prices are insane. But yeah, it's a process, man, and it's definitely an issue with the housing prices right now. It's definitely an issue.
Did you see all the drama about Hassan buying a $2.7 million house in Los Angeles?
I don't really understand it, but yes, I get what people are saying with him and his political takes, but there's a difference between capitalism and crony capitalism. What is your take on it?
I don't really have an issue with it, because it seems like there's a really pernicious habit of trying to tear down left-leaning people when they become financially successful. In the world we live in, being financially successful and being politically successful are often one and the same. That's not great, but that's, often just how these things work. So it's like, a socialist will advocate for stuff and they'll become like large and famous and they'll make money from that fame. And then it's like, oh, you're not a real socialist because you're made money and fame. And it's like, well, hold on. Shouldn't we be encouraging the process by which people accrue political power in capitalism? I don't know. Maybe he could have spent it on donating to kennels or something. I think it's a delightful house.
I don't see if you're. I'm all pro-capitalism, man, and if you make money from just hustling or you're successful at what you do, I have no issue with that. It's the crony capitalism and the system being rigged for a small set of people is when I have an issue. But you making millions because people love your fucking show, I don't think is a bad thing. I'm not saying he's a great guy. I don't know him. The only thing I've heard super negative about him. Well, I heard the thing he said with his uncle when he said that we deserve 9/11, which was an oof, which was a real big oof.
That was a funny one. I remember the news cycle after that one. God, I wish my cancellations were that funny.
Yeah. I'm surprised he survived that, to be quite honest with you. But no, I don't see a problem with if someone is just doing something that there is a demand for, and hence that's why he's as financially successful as he is. I don't see what the big deal with that is. I don't understand why people think if they're left leaning that everyone has to like live in a box.
Yeah. I mean, because what's that old quote? It's when I was poor and I talked about socialism, they called me bitter. When I was rich and I talked about socialism, they called me a hypocrite. Something like that. There's always like a way you can circumnavigate the conversation about wealth inequality by accusing the people you're arguing with of being hypocrites. I think it's not like everyone donates all the money that they spend to charity. I mean, Republicans do that, I think, with a lot of groups too. Haven't you seen like you care about homeless people? Well, I noticed that you haven't donated all your money to the homeless shelter. Checkmate, liberal. And it's like, okay, we're having fun here.
It's the goalpost. It's the goalpost effect. I say it's a one way they're going to say this about you, and then if you garner success, then they're going to call you a hypocrite. You don't win either way. It's a way to make you look bad either way.
I think it's just important to focus on the baseline issues. If it turns out that some of the people who are arguing for those issues have a good point, but like maybe they're spending a good amount of money on themselves, I don't know. I mean, if they're making good points, it just seems like we should prioritize what exactly we're arguing for and against. But anyway, Hassan doesn't need defenders. God knows he's got millions of them.
And, then we could go after people like the late Steve Jobs, who is known for not donating any of his money to anybody, at least just from what I've read. So
yeah, cancel Steve Jobs, man. Why? When is that gonna happen?
Yeah, dude, he's worshipped like a deity, and I hear nothing. And everyone, like literally, people who work with him were always like, "Yes, he was a terrible person." Like no one has ever said he's. The best I've heard about him is like, yeah, he was tough to work with. Like I've never heard any better than that.
Yeah, he seemed, from what I heard, fairly insufferable. And I think it takes a certain degree of incredible, mind-boggling obstinance to go ahead with his medical beliefs, which
killed
probably, probably didn't help him down the line. It might suggest some personality defects in other respects, too. It's funny because, nowadays it's so fun to hate on Elon Musk. It is, I can tell. But one day it's got to circle around. We got to come for Steve Jobs.
It's funny. I was just watching something about the iPhone when it was first launched, and Steve Jobs was on stage. And again, shockingly, they were saying that he was unbearable, and he was showing contacts in the phone, and he did a real petty thing, and I felt like, wow, this is like really petty. He swiped away a person's name, and that was the person on the team that got fired on stage. That was him being like, oh, look, so Bob, I forgot his name. He's like, yep, you could just swipe it off and get rid of that contact. And that was
goodbye. We can erase people just like this, God, what a weirdo. Well, died too early to be canceled, I guess. Some people get all the luck.
Yeah, it's just, and I always think to myself, like I was just saying, it's just baffling that this guy, he's basically worshipped, where everyone's looking hair trigger away from canceling anybody, and everyone says, no, he was terrible. Like, people who were alive and said, yes, I work with him, he was a horrible human being, and everyone's like, that's okay, that's fine. So it's just, I don't know, but it's just weird how some people get that like uncancelable persona, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, right. He never none of his more pernicious tendencies really came across in the behavior that he had with the public, right? You know, he also didn't come off like an especially like conceited person, I don't think, in his public presentations. He just came off kind of like as the meme guy, you know? He was there in front of the big screen, and that's what people knew him for.
He could sell shit to you literally, and people would be in droves to buy it because he was an amazing salesperson. That's, I think, really think what it was down to. His presence on stage was, it seemed genuine, even if he didn't like the product. Like, if he could be like he was holding that Motorola MP3 phone that they were begrudgingly trying to shill back in the day, and you almost wanted to buy it.
We missed the universe where Steve Jobs gets to go on Joe Rogan and talk about Donald Trump and ivermectin, and I think that is such a shame. That's the reality that I wish that I could live in. I want to see that play out.
Dude, what the fuck happened to, like, I never always agreed with Joe Rogan, but I'm the kind of person that I have a set, and that's okay. I like, we could not see eye to eye on things, and he just like he moved to Texas and went off the deep end, and now he's touting ivermectin like it saved his life.
Yeah, I can't say I'm the biggest fan of the guy. I've got let's say a few criticisms. People in chat are saying I'm a little bit in the quiet side. Is there a way to turn it up in Zoom?
Is there? Are you? Oh, you're. Yeah, there should be no problem. Shit, maybe I actually turned you down quite a bit because, really, my levels are showing you're like exploding. But I turned you up though. I turned you up.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah. Don't mind me. I'm just relaying the information. I'm
No,
just
no,
a
no, no.
messenger.
I just. It's weird because people have said that before, and I can't trust OBS's meters. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, not at all. Yeah, I'm not I think I cut you off, if anything. I'm not a big fan of Joe Rogan. Look, don't get me wrong. I love monkeys. I love meatheads. I love muscle. Okay. Huge fan of all these things. Big fan. You're never going to catch me slandering any of those ideas, concepts, things, animals. The issue is that there's a certain degree of like anti-intellectualism that his brand promotes that really rubs me the wrong way, you know? It's the kind of anti-intellectualism where any idea is treated as valid as long as it's being presented with enough, I don't know, IDW glitz. As long as you can sell an idea as though the elites don't want you to hear about it and it's super cool and like, why aren't we all talking about this? You can get away with pretty much anything. It reminds me a lot of like libertarian tech bros who are constantly talking about how this tech innovation or the next is going to completely revolutionize like modern society, and it never does. I mean, not always, at least. Sometimes we have big jumps forward, but usually it's just people hawking their wares. And then you have somebody like Joe Rogan, where like every single show somebody comes on and it plays out like a, I don't know, like a Vsauce episode, except without any fact checking. So people just go off on a sort of, like a poetry diatribe about whatever the fuck they want to talk about, and it can go in any direction, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, and I have no idea. It can get pretty weird.
But it's just so weird though, because I remember him talking to Candace Owens and ripping into her about her climate change take. Like, it's not, I don't know if the money makes him feel uncancelable now and that he's just like, yo, these are my real takes, or if someone just got in his ear, because there's been a lot of, like, when he had Dave Rubin, you ever see the infamous Dave Rubin, where Dave Rubin's like, oh, let's not have any people don't need building permits and just let the market dictate the stability of our structures, and Joe Rogan basically told him to piss off. Did you see that?
Yeah, and I saw the Candace Owens bit too. I don't think that Joe Rogan is like super hyper dishonest grifter right-wing hack type of guy. I just I think he's the kind of guy who prioritizes a certain aesthetic of discovery that can lead people down really anti-intellectual roads. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like a it's not so much about truth as it is about the facsimile of truth being presented in a way that makes it appreciable to like weed addicted, early 20 somethings who dropped out of college but still think they were the smartest kid in class.
Yeah, I've always said that the people who think people who are self-assured that they are geniuses are probably the biggest idiots in the room because they lack the self-awareness to realize that they don't know everything.
Yeah, it's kind of arrogance too, like and I imagine that when Joe Rogan gets in trouble for this, that or the other, he thinks like um he probably thinks some unnecessary or unreasonable degree of scrutiny is being thrown his way, that like oh, we're just talking about ideas and you're getting all mad because somebody threw out an idea you don't like. I doubt he's very considerate of the potential consequences of some of the ideas that get thrown around on his show. So I guess I say he's irresponsible more than anything else.
Yeah, because and the thing that he's touting ivermectin now, and I'm like, dude, how do you took a whole slew of he took that Regeneron stuff, which actually I heard in the UK the NHS has approved for COVID. He took a Z-Pack, which is antibiotic, which fine, but and then like you took a whole, you don't know it was the ivermectin, and he's pushing the ivermectin like it's like it's a miracle drug, and it's the only thing that he took, and that's such an awful thing to do.
Yeah, for all we know, it could have been being bald. Maybe that's what cures COVID.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Like that's the thing. He's like you took a whole cocktail. You don't know it was that, and how are you going on your show now making it like it was the miracle cure? And that's so dangerous. There's people literally taking capsules of fucking bleach now for people they meet on Craigslist. I don't even know if it's exactly that, but it was pretty damn close.
Yeah, in the ballpark. Yeah, people are the right wing in particular is really, really, really obsessed with finding some non-vaccine treatment for COVID because they're all in on this anti-vax grift, but they can't appear as though they're doing nothing about COVID. So by having some like totally fake bullshit to promote to people, they get to simultaneously adopt the aesthetic of doing something while also accusing the Democrats of actually being the real ones responsible for the COVID pandemic because they're not throwing enough weight behind supporting whatever conspiracy theory bullshit they're pushing.
But what boggles me about that too is that's in a way science, but they're also trying to be anti-science, but they're trying to give you alternative science, which is a crock of shit. I don't get that for the life of me.
If it sells, and it seems to, pseudoscience often uses like the language of scientific inquiry to try to completely discredit science, right? I mean, look at homeopathy, right? How like one molecule of dog shit in water dilutes and makes the water have healing properties or whatever shit they're talking about. But they talk about it like it's a science, They talk about it with the sort of academic flourish of a scientist. So, I mean, they're trying to appropriate the aesthetic essentially. What I'm saying is they're doing cultural appropriation and they're canceled over it.
And it's just gross, man, because they're playing with people's lives. Now, do I think Joe Rogan is doing this purposely? No, I think that it's hard to say about a man that's older than me, but there's maybe a small level of naivete, and he gets influenced, and I think he does genuinely mean what he says, even though he should think more about what he says because he has a huge audience. But yeah, I mean, you're sitting there in the middle of a pandemic, and you know that every single thing that comes out of everyone's mouth is blindly being followed, and you're pushing a medication that you have no idea if it worked on you. You have none.
Yeah, I wonder if he actually took any ivermectin, Like,
you think he would be that shady, though? That's one thing I don't think. I don't think he would be that shady.
Well, the one thing I do know is that he has lied about the threat COVID poses because he's constantly downplayed, like the need for masks or, how bad everything is. Like, he's done that plenty of times. But apparently, some guests on his show have said that he's actually been like really paranoid about COVID in private, that he was like always washing down his surfaces between guests and having people use like disposable alcohol wipes and stuff. So in private, he was like really, really paranoid about it. But in public, he was always dismissing it. Now, I don't know if that's grifting or if that's like his machismo bullshit, which he has plenty of. It's hard to say, you know?
But yeah, and that's weird too, because then if he's that way, he would go and do these shows where there's a bunch of crowds where it's probably where he got it. That's kind of a contradiction in and of himself, if whatever is true there. Because I know he did the shows, and that's just like going to a petri dish, you know. But if he was actually like that behind the scenes, that's pretty ridiculous.
It's tough to tell, right? Especially because, like, again, Joe Rogan is like the poster child for the kind of guy who would know something is dangerous, then do it anyway, then talk about how not dangerous it was. I mean, we've all seen guys do that, right? You know, like that braggadocious swagger. They like do something dumb. They're like, I never even worried, you know. I feel like Joe Rogan might be the type of guy to do that. I don't think that makes him like, I don't think it was like some malicious political agenda. Again, I just think he's kind of irresponsible, you know?
Yeah, and I've kind of done that too, where you just think like, oh, I'm just an entertainer. I'm entertaining people. You know, what's the big deal? But you got to realize that even with our size audiences, is that what you say and do can have an effect. And yeah, I guess seeing him is like, wow, yeah, it's a good point. And, you know, there's going to be a whole bunch of people. Like, look at when, and I actually didn't blame Trump for this because Trump didn't tell, people were going to like pet food stores and getting stuff with, what was the other medication? I can't think about it now before this, that he was
the hydroxychloroquine.
The guy and his wife went to get fish tank cleaner, and it had the hydroxychloroquine in it. He died from taking it, and she was hospitalized. And people tried to blame Trump for that. I'm like, yeah, Trump was pushing that stuff, but he didn't tell you to go to a pet store and take fish tank cleaner.
Now, that is kind of the logical like end result of the what they're pushing, right? I mean, that's the reason why presidents should never comment on stuff like that. It's because like when you're talking about ongoing research or something that's kind of like medically skeptical, it's pretty dangerous, like as the president during a pandemic, to be like, oh yeah, this might be your one hope for not dying to this plague, because people are going to do really irresponsible stuff with that no matter what.
Shit, that's a good point. I mean, people were directly blaming him for that, but at the same time, yeah, if you're going to push something, you're going to get people to do stupid things.
At this point, like, it's out of the hands of the Republicans too. Have you seen Mitch McConnell and Trump encourage people to take vaccines and get dogged on for it by the rest of the party?
Shit on.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, too late, guys. And now the anti-vax stuff isn't even like the Republican Party. It's Republican media demagogues and like QAnon types. But that's enough to have a lot of control over Republicans. So it's like, oh, well, it's out of our hands now.
Yeah, that kind of flipped me out when I saw him at he was having a rally and he was like, take the vaccine. And then everybody, just booed him. I was amazed. I thought that no matter what he said, they would just be like, yes, that's cool.
Apparently there are lines they can't cross. You know, they say Republicans, the politicians, I mean, are terrified of their voter base. And I think it's true. They'll do or say anything to placate those people. All right, hold on. Wait, can I respond to somebody in your chat?
Sure, of course.
Copeland. Why not bring up the fact that most people die from COVID-19 are obesity and pre-existing conditions that die from COVID-19? Why not mention that, oh, what doesn't fit the narrative? It fits the narrative just fine. You don't know what the narrative is because you're illiterate and you've never read anything on the subject and you've never turned on your TV and watched a news channel on the subject. You think nobody's talking about this. Everyone's talking about this. The fact that it's mostly old and sick people who die doesn't change the fact that over 500,000 people have died. Holy shit, okay? It's more than every like war America's ever done since the turn of the 20th century combined. Why, like, how can you downplay it at this point? Like, how can you be this far along in the process and still be downplay? Like, how delusionally fucking partisan do you have to be on the right wing to look at what's happening right now? Look at the planet being shut down and like the rest of the countries in the world scrambling to get the vaccines that we were lucky enough to develop first. And you come out with the sage wisdom, like the fucking Luddite that you are. It's mostly sick people who die. Thank you for your wisdom, sage, master. I didn't know that. Did you know that most people who die of everything have pre-existing conditions? That's crazy. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, dude, you are 110% correct. And I can't, I bring this, I am tired of bringing it up, but I will refuse to stop bringing it up. I know people that were nurse practitioners in perfect health. I had a cousin who was 30 years old, and this is when it first started. He had a full physical the month before he died. He died of COVID. I know people who were in perfect health, like I just said, who now they have a heart condition because of COVID-19. Like, I'm so tired of hearing that it's just an old
Yeah,
and
healthy people too. There are young, healthy people who are getting long-term, even if they don't die, and some do, but they're getting long-term medical side effects from this, including erectile dysfunction. That's actually one of the most well-recorded side effects of getting COVID and living. It fucks with your body. It's not like, millions of people are going to be dealing with side effects the rest of their lives, and there are still people going like, COVID hoax. It's not real. It's like, God damn, can we stop?
It's incredible, and no matter how much you speak from statistics and look at numbers and information, and it's just like, no, I just don't believe you. And what do you say? It's like talking to a brick. I don't know, and I don't like pharmaceutical companies. I am not pro big pharma. I don't like. And not to bring up Joe Rogan again, one of his guests one time said the perfect statement: just because drugs are overprescribed doesn't mean they shouldn't be prescribed at all. I don't understand where we became anti-science in 20. We've been anti-science for a while, but in recent years, we've been more anti-science than ever.
Definitely feels like it's gotten worse. That's for sure. Yeah, yeah, the pharmaceutical companies are despicable, but I mean, so are the companies that give us electricity and build our cars and regulate our, financial transactions. So if your argument is that we should never take vaccines because the pharma companies are bad, I know that's not your argument. I mean, the hypothetical you, then that would also apply to basically every industry on Earth. Which, I mean, if you want to, you can go for it. But I need to buy food to live, so
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I say to people who fight with me on that, I'm like, when you go to the grocery store, do you look at every pre-processed piece of shit that you get and look at every single ingredient before you put it down your throat? No, you don't. You absolutely don't.
God, no. No, who could do that?
And so unless you're going to completely live off the land, like there's no, like you're just straight up being a factual hypocrite at that point. And this isn't just about the people who, people compare it to seatbelts too, which I think is a ridiculous argument. It's like, yeah, I don't wear a seatbelt. What it affects if I get into an accident is on me. It affects, I'll be the one flying out of the car window. There's people who can't get a vaccine because they're immune compromised or they have some other kind of health issue. That's actually one their doctor said you can't get the vaccine, not that they make up. You not getting the vaccine could affect them. And that's where it's different. It's not just about you.
Yeah, especially because it goes even beyond that, too. Because eventually, most everyone's going to be vaccinated, except for the people who have some immune system deficiencies that mean they can't. But it goes beyond that because the more people who get COVID, just period, the more people who flatly get COVID, that increases the likelihood that more strains will develop. The billions and billions of tiny DNA micromutations that take place anytime it spreads through a person's body, over enough quadrillion permutations of that process, you get the Delta variant, or you can get I don't know, whatever the next.
There's another variant now that they're afraid it's going to mitigate the effects of the vaccine.
Exactly, and then it surpasses the vaccine. So the more cases there are in general, the less effective the vaccines become for everyone. If you choose not to get the vaccine when you have the ability to do it, you're not just making a choice about your own health. You're consigning the entire species to a perpetual maelstrom of constantly renewing viruses and vaccines, trapping us in a cycle we might literally not be able to break free from without better public policy.
Yeah, but then you go into mandating the vaccine, and people will lose their fucking. What do you think would be the outcome? Is if say the states mandated the vaccine, even though we've had other vaccines that have been mandatory forever?
At this point, I'm okay with full on 1984ing that shit. The freedom of all of humanity to live without COVID surpasses the freedom for people to not get the vaccine. We have two competing freedoms, and one of them is the freedom of the species, and one of them is the freedom for people to watch Joe Rogan and take horse dewormer. And as tough as that is, at this point, I'm making a hard call on this one. And we've done this before, by the way. This is not the first time we've made this decision. There are tons of tiny freedoms we sacrifice in society to make things better for everyone. For example, murder is illegal. That is literally a violation of my freedom. Before law, I had the ability to murder, and now people will arrest me for it? What the fuck? But even though it's interrupted my freedom, it's probably made life better for everyone. And in this case, I think that when you're not taking the COVID vaccine, you're essentially complicit in a planet-wide murder scheme. So yeah, I'm okay with just cranking that down. I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah, you're 110% correct, and I'm in the same boat. I know that's not going to be popular with some people here, and they're going to lose their minds, but that's okay. I just, again, seatbelt, I think it's federal that seatbelts are required everywhere or in every state you go, and you get a ticket if you don't wear one. Are you saying that's against your freedoms? And it only really affects you. If you don't wear a seatbelt or you want to fly out your own damn window, okay, most places don't.
Funnily enough, people did say that back when seatbelts were first made mandatory. There were a bunch of anti-seatbelters who said that the statistics about it were a lie, that this was big government just trying to regulate people's lives, stuff like that. Wow,
people are.
There are people in chat who are mad about this, but like, guys, millions have died. Come on, seriously, the vaccine is like 2 seconds. You can just go to a local little CVS and they just give you a little prick in your arm. The needle is so tiny, it can't fit any microchips through it. It's much, much, much smaller than like the needles that I got when I had tuberculosis treatments when I was like 10. You're going to be okay. And then you don't have to worry about it. It's so cool.
And here is your tracking device that I always say. It's right here. Do you carry one of these around? Yes, you do. Do you carry it everywhere with you, including when you take a shit? I know you do. I do. That probably makes you think about this phone in a totally different way. That's okay. You're already fucked. I'm not saying I agree with it, but here, Bill Gates got you. That's what he's going to come in a hang glider in your room and have his way with your holes because of this. You're already done.
If there's anything you're going to bite the 1984 bullet on, it should probably be stopping the worldwide pandemic. If there was anything, like we sold out our freedom so we could get targeted advertisements. You guys realize that, right? Mm-hmm. And all the freedom truth warriors in chat, you did that too. Okay, you are not all using the Onion Tor network and hiding all of your online activity by encrypting it through 7 proxies. The government knows exactly what the fuck you're doing, and you accept all the cookies from those fucking websites because you don't want to have the services disabled for you. So don't take a goddamn stand on private autonomy now when we're trying to on something that actually matters. Okay,
dude, all you have to do is buy the Freedom Phone, though.
Oh God, the Freedom Phone.
A Freedom Phone that's made in China. That's a risk. That because it's not going to have the securities that are built into a Google certified phone is going to probably get you tracked even more. You saw about the Freedom Phone, right?
It was amazing. They literally just took an existing Chinese phone, marked it up 300%, and then bragged about how they couldn't police their app store because they don't own the app store. It's not controlled by them. It's controlled by another company. So they can't police it because they don't control it. Somebody else controls it and will police it. It's such a grift. I love it. But people fall for it,
Yeah, and the thing is, the phone is made in China. It's like you said, it's literally a Chinese phone. And it's kind of like those phones. Remember back in like 2011, 2012, it was tougher for like the cheap knockoff phones to actually get Google certification to have the Play Store on there. That's basically what it is. You have one of those cheap phones you would get from like a Big Lots, and they just slap the skin over it.
You've got the Soulja Boy game system, except the phone version of it.
I'm actually getting my hands on one of those soon.
God damn right you are. That shit slaps.
Dude,
Thank you, Soulja Boy.
No, it's not Soulja Boy. I'm getting it from somewhere else. He actually, I just had a video on this yesterday. People are getting pissed off because no one's getting it. He went to someone I knew who I'm friends with. She's a YouTuber from the UK. And because she's easy on the eyes, he gave her a review unit, or someone on his team gave her a review unit, like PR, not him specifically. Let me not exaggerate.
Mm-hmm.
And she got done reviewing it, and now I'm going to get it sent to me. So I'm actually going to get one to review. It's that, speaking of a reskin, like the Freedom Phone, it's one of those Pow Kitty consoles with his logo, or the TRD.
Oh,
logo
yeah.
on it.
I saw the JonTron video on it. It slaps. We stand a king who completely violates copyright law. What a hero of the proletariat, that's Soulja Boy.
But here's the thing. This is why I think he's not sending them out, because you remember what happened in 2018, right? He tried to do this before, and then Nintendo shot him down.
Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. He did this again?
Yes.
Wait, this isn't the first time?
No, this was a big
God.
to-do back in 2018. He was selling, like, it looked like an Xbox One S with a whole bunch of games in it that were like from Sony and from Nintendo and from, there was like a Chinese console they were trying to make like their own Xbox over there. He was going to sell for like 500. Oh yeah. He did this before.
I thought we were talking about the first time. I thought we were still referring to the first time this had happened.
I had to go through PayPal to get my money back for that.
We stand a king who does not give a fuck about copyright. Has the first lawsuit even settled?
I don't even know if there was. I think there was just a threat. I think there was
just a threat. Okay.
Yeah. And then he was the CEO of Atari for 5 minutes. You saw that? Did you see that?
No, I didn't. Man, he's living his goddamn best life over here.
Dude, he bought, like, he's made it like Atari gave him $140 million, which I find to be amazing because Atari doesn't even have $140 million. There was a video, like, I'm the CEO of Atari. He, like, contradicted himself in the video. I'm the CEO of Atari. They signed me to a deal. We did a contract. I own the company. I'm like, okay, which one of the four is it? Like, you don't own the company. They didn't sign you to a deal, but then they said that they made you the CEO. Then everyone called him out for lying, including Atari themselves called him out and said, yeah, he's not the CEO. Or they said, like, this guy's the CEO. I know it's a dream job, but he's not.
Do you ever get the feeling that Soulja Boy might actually just be like a few children in a trench coat, you know? And that he's just, like, as he goes, he's like, I'm gonna make a video games, and then whatever happens, you know?
I mean,
he's
like
like
worth like 20 million. I mean, well, then again, you can't go by the internet, but he's worth money. So it's not that he needs money. I don't know what. I guess maybe because he just wants his name out there, because he's not as relevant as he was back that's a nice way to say it, back in 2007. So that's the only thing I could think of. But yeah, man, then he showed the next day that he's like, Atari's a fucking liar. He called them every name in the book, and showed his supposed contract, which was just him buying Atari's crypto tokens, and he was trying to play it off that it was a contract. He said, look, I have a piece of paper and it has numbers on it. Here. Gotcha. They're lying. Like, it was just, and on the contract, it had Soulja Boy. It didn't actually have his name.
look, he's living his best life, and I'm not going to judge him for that, okay? He's having wacky adventures with zero consequences. And don't we all wish we could do that? I mean, don't we all wish we could just make a game console and just have it be like shovelware ripped into a China box, you know? If only.
And he's playing with fire, because what he does, or maybe he does realize, he just thinks, like you said, he could get away with it, is that the reason that those Chinese companies get away with it, China doesn't give a shit about U.S. copyright law at all. They could give negative shits. So they could sell whatever knockoff console they want to with whatever ROMs on it, and no one's going to, they're just like, what are you going to do? You know, he's from the States, so yeah, it's still a Chinese product. He's just slapping a coat of paint on, but he's still profiting off of illegal properties. So he's playing with fire, whether he realizes it or not. But anyway, I could go on about him all day.
I think he's great.
Yeah, he's an American icon that yeah.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. Do you mind if I take a call? This will take 2 seconds.
Sure, go ahead. Do what you got to do. We'll talk about when he gets back. We'll talk about Candace Owens being denied a COVID test. And yes, I'll answer these while he's doing that. Rich, can you ask, just want to say I'm very happy you guys are finally talking. Why does Doug Tanapil hate Vaush? I don't know. Sony is garbage. Thank you, Wyatt. Just want to say I'm very happy you guys are talking. We have been anticipating this for a long time. Love both your channels. You're welcome. Rich, can you ask Vaush, do you believe DSP is Ben Shapiro's long-lost brother? Yes. This is the greatest YouTube crossover of all time.
All right, I made it. Howdy.
Damn, that was fast. Google
Yeah,
Fish says, dump in toilet, life good. Toilet, fight back, kill toilet so you clogged your toilet. Thank you, Google Fish. I just did that yesterday.
Life's greatest fight is often with toilets.
Yeah, especially when you have a septic and don't have city water.
Yeah.
Rudy, Rich, will you have political guests from... Oh, yes, I would love to have someone from the other side of the spectrum on my show. That would be libertarians, conservatives, communists. Yes. Yeah, sure.
Or libertarian communists. They've been known to exist.
Yeah, I would love to. That would be quite... Like, I would have... I don't think he would ever come on, but I would have Ben Shapiro on here. That would be quite interesting. Which we're going to talk about him in a second anyway.
Are people in chat talking about Doug Tenapel?
Yeah, I don't even know who Doug Tenapel is, I'm going to be honest.
He was the creator of Earthworm Jim, also kind of a QAnon nutso now. I don't know if he says QAnon. He's got QAnon vibes. I debated him a little while back, and I guess he's salty with me. It was a pretty fun debate. He's a complete moron.
Wow, really? Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that when you find out their ideologies, you're kind of like, oh shit. This is why you should actually. That's a good segue. What do you think about what's going on in Texas? With the heartbeat bill. I know what you're going to say, but
you do. Well, yeah, you do. I think it's despicable. The heartbeat bill is unconstitutional. It absolutely is. I mean, I would be astonished at any. I mean, by the precedent that we've set with regards to interpretations of Roe v. Wade, I have no idea what kind of moon logic you would need to employ to justify the state essentially handing out bounties to people for suing not only people who get abortions, but people who help people get abortions. It's unfathomable to me. So it's obviously unconstitutional. My guess is that what they're trying to do in Texas is bait discourse out of the Supreme Court, which the Supreme Court seems to be allowing because they have, unfortunately, decided not to immediately strike down the law, which kind of implicitly gives other states the go-ahead to make their own unconstitutional anti-abortion laws. It's basically a way of playing chicken with the Supreme Court to see how far they're willing to let conservative states. Yeah, how far can we push it, basically, which is despicable. I mean, that's obviously a complete violation of what the Supreme Court is supposed to be, and a threat to the reproductive rights of women all over the country, not just in Texas, and not even just in red states. It's genuinely pretty terrible. It's also, I think, a really strong repudiation of the idea that, like, these conservative Supreme Court judges are, I don't know, principled. They so obviously operate off ideology. There's this myth that people like to circulate of the unbiased legal arbitrator, you know, that judges just observe the facts of the case and make their decisions. And no, they don't. There's a reason why conservative judges so often arrive at conservative conclusions and liberal judges liberal conclusions. We're all tainted by our biases. But conservatives love to pretend that liberals are the activist judges and they just strictly interpret the word of the law, which is total bullshit. So yeah.
The bounty is what is insane. Like, you're giving a financial incentive. Like, it's, if you, like, say, I believe I read that if you were, like, say you wheelchair in the woman who is going to get the abortion, you could also be in trouble for that too. It's just, they're basically doing like a whistleblowing for it. It's pretty nuts. That's the part.
1984.
Like, I mean, that's the part. Even if you're pro-life, fine. I'm not even going into that with it. But it's like, you really think that bounties are a good idea? Like $10,000 bounties?
How do I get called authoritarian for saying people should vaccinate during a worldwide pandemic, and then meanwhile conservatives are like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna put bounties on people and encourage people to distrust their neighbors and friends so they can sell each other out to the state." Yeah, that's not a bad precedent to set. Like, come on, you know?
Oh my god! I'm just like, please, like, look, fine, because I'm pro-choice. I've already given my take on that here. I'm pro-choice with my own personal take as a guy with 3 kids. I wouldn't. I mean, a woman's body, her choice. I wouldn't be a fan personally, but if I was a politician, I would fight for Roe versus Wade all day. I've said that before in here. That's nothing. But what do you think of? I explained this to you before. What happened with Tripwire Interactive, the CEO, and him coming out in support of it, and him basically losing his job like 3 seconds after he posted that tweet.
No, I can't help but admit I think it's a bit funny. You can complain about cancel culture all you like, but a CEO's job is to be the face of a company. I mean, that's literally their job. It's not like, I mean, you can fire like a line worker if they say something racist on social media, sure. A CEO is the direct representative of a company's message. If they're making off-brand political statements that they think can hurt the future of the company, not only is it a good idea for them to be terminated, they actually have a fiduciary responsibility to the stockholders to do so, you know? I mean, how could they not? The Texas law is wildly unpopular around the country. And then you come out in support of it? Ridiculous. I mean, God, that could have huge blowback to the company. So, of course, there was going to be action taken.
Now, just to be objective and kind of be the devil's advocate here, if a lot of people are saying, Rich, if he had to take in the totally opposite direction where he was pro-choice, that wouldn't have happened. Do you think that is the case? And if so, is that okay?
Oh, if he had come out against the law, he wouldn't have been fired for sure. Just because it's just a popularity thing, you know? At the end of the day, CEOs are expected to put on a good face for the company. If they make it look bad, that's bad. If they make it look good, that's good. If we lived in a super duper racist world, like a super racist society, you know, then a CEO could come out on Twitter and be like, yeah, I just think black people kind of suck. And that I mean, that would be fine. And they would get accolades for that, and their stock price would go up, and all the shareholders would buy private islands or whatever. Thankfully, we don't live in that world, so people are prioritized to make statements that are maybe a little bit less awful than that. And I'm totally fine with that process. The process of like social shaming is usually not one which I think should have a direct impact in your employment. But when it comes to a profession like CEO, where you're basically a cheerleader for your company, yeah, in that case, I think it's fair.
And I can say, as a person who leans more left, that when you give your progressive takes, which I've done on my channel, it is damaged my, like, I've gotten semi-canceled. When I live streamed what happened on January 6th, it was like someone literally turned an off switch on my channel. So if anyone wants an example of can you be canceled if you lean left, yes, you can.
Yeah, I've gotten banned from Twitch before, which was a lot of fun, you know.
What did you get banned for?
I poorly phrased some criticisms of Israel. No biggie. So that was, you know, that was a good one. But that besides, there are plenty of left-leaning people who get canceled. It's not like a totally monodirectional thing. It just so happens that, like, at the moment, most progressive opinions are more popular than most reactionary opinions, for the most part, you know. So, and I hope it stays that way. Personally, I'm happy with the fact that we socially prioritize, you know, progressive messaging. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. Here's an interesting question from somebody, and then I'll get my. Why did you back the Taliban but demonize Trump?
I don't back the.
Yeah,
Wait, because
I've
I
gotten
support
this before too.
Because I support the withdrawal from Afghanistan. Is that backing the Taliban? Damn. Well, I guess wouldn't that make Trump a supporter of the Taliban, since he also wanted to get us out of Afghanistan, just didn't have the balls to? I don't support the Taliban. I don't stand them.
Yeah, me either.
Their vibes are off. Not a big fan.
This is the question that will end with, but this is the one that I get all the time. It's I'm kind of no segue into it. Every time I bring you up, I instantly get that I am a pedo supporter. Could you please, for the love of fuck, explain that you just gave a really edgy way to say it, and you are not pro CP in any way, shape, or form, for fuck's sake, so I don't have to hear it anymore, even though I will anyway?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's not going to change a thing, because most of the time when people like say that, they're just like super angry that I exist, so they're desperately scrambling to find any reason they can to invalidate my existence. You know what I mean? Like a lot, like when I go online and I see people throwing that shit around, it's not people like, I have serious problems with Vaush. These statements were highly problematic. It's usually people who are like wildly conservative, who fucking hate my political opinions, and they're like, you know what? I don't even have to think about maybe this guy having a point. I'll do whatever, just throw whatever out there. So they're not going to change their mind. But the basic arguments that we'll see if people want to follow along, if they disagree with me. So the basic argument is this, okay? There is like a ton of unethical labor in our supply chain. Of course, I'm a socialist, so I think all of it's unethical labor. But I think we could agree that, say, for example, Nestle child slavery stuff is pretty bad, you know? That's, I hope most of us could agree on that, right? The problem is that when it comes to the consumption of products that are made from that labor, a lot of people are kind of blasé about it, you know? A lot of people are like, you know, yeah, I guess it's bad, but, you know, we have cheap computer parts, and Nestle makes chocolate milk and stuff like that, you know? And it frustrated me. A lot of people were really downplaying some really like bad stuff. So I said, like, well, you know, when it comes to the illegalization of CP, we were so hard on the abuse of children. Not only is it illegal to abuse children, you can't even have media of children being abused. And look at that. It sure did socially demonize the entire practice of abusing children, didn't it? Which is why people use it as such a go-to insult with me. So anyway, my argument essentially was, well, shouldn't we move to a society where this same practice is taken with commodities produced from other kinds of unethical labor, you know? Like, maybe we should live in a world where if you're buying blood diamonds that are harvested by slaves, you should be a little bit canceled for that. I think that'd be kind of cool. So people disagreed with me. So essentially I took the devil's advocate. Oh, if you don't believe that, then how do you have an argument against any of it? And I phrased some of those arguments kind of poorly, and that's where we are today.
Oh, dude, because, yeah, every time if I bring you up, whether I was having you on here or I watch your streams from time to time, or it's that instantly there is that clip, and it's like 20 people that are sending me the fucking clip. And I'm like, look, when Vaush comes on, I am going to have him discuss it with you. We both think child pornography is abhorrent. I guess I was supposed to say CP, whatever, the stream will be demonetized, who cares? It's
Rip.
Disgusting. We do not condone it. He was just making a point. He was trying to make an analogy. It was a hot take, and it just didn't sound good.
Well, they're not going to change their mind, because
they're not.
The problem is most of them are like, can I be honest with you guys, okay? The problem is a lot of you guys will never change your minds because you're biting the bullet that's given to you by conservative grifters who lost debates to me. That's the reason why they are the way they are. Sargon, the quartering's too scared to debate me, but I mean, God, that's such a foregone conclusion.
Oh, please debate him, please.
No, he'll never. He doesn't even believe the shit that he says. Like, the quartering's entire job is to wait for like 13-year-old anime RPG protagonist's panties to be censored in Western release video games so that he can complain about it for 20 minutes. He's admitted he doesn't give a fuck about the topics that he talks about. He just goes to whatever his audience will get enraged over. But the reason like you guys hyperfixate on this is because the content creators that you conservatives watch hate me. And they hate me because I've made them look really bad. So just look, you don't have to like me or anything, okay? But recognize a thought-terminating cliche when you hear one, the goal of which is not actually to invite you to understand an issue, but rather to get you to ignore anything a person has to say. Just, if you could, I believe in you guys, okay? I believe in all of us. Do you believe in all of us? I'm feeling optimistic right now.
I do. I genuinely do. I actually got, when I went on a vaccine rampage a few weeks ago, or a month ago now, there's some people who said they actually got the vaccine because I lost my mind. So yes, I have faith in humanity to a degree still.
That's awesome. I heard some positive affirmation after I debated Charlie Kirk, that some people heard my my stuff on vaccines on Tim Pool's live stream and changed their mind because of that, which really heartened me, you know, because that, I mean, that could mean a life saved, which is kind of wild to think about.
It's actually could mean multiple lives saved, because if they get vaccinated and because they're vaccinated they don't spread the illness onto someone else, or God forbid it mutates when they catch it. You know, that's how I look at it, man. If one person, if I open my eyes to like one or two people, that could be there could be a domino effect with that. So you know, that's how I look at it, man. It may not be popular, it may not, you know, we could grift, and yeah, that would be financially beneficial to us, but it's not responsible. You know, I'm not making it like I'm a saint. I could be a dick, and I'll be the first I could admit to be a dick, and you're human too. But
yeah, that's why, oh my God, that's why it bothers me so much when people call me a grifter. Do you have any idea how much money I could make by faking a conservative arc, you know? If I was like Candace Owens or something? Do you have, if I like built it up for 6 months and then did this big like switch over and like went full QAnon, like actually the best way to achieve a socialist revolution would be through, you know, the storm, retaking America from the globalist pedophiles who control the White House. I could make gajillions, all right? But here I am wallowing away on LeftTube because I have something approximating principles. Oh God. There's so much money to be made in that scene.
Yeah, but it won't last though. It won't. It'll eventually implode. At least in my opinion, or maybe it won't. But I don't know. I like giving honest takes and not just doing something to appease people. We'll end with this. Actually, I know I said it was going to end before, but I forgot this. I had this in my notes. Your take on the quartering. You kind of gave a small part of it. I know people want me to ask.
Oh wait, I can substantiate that a little bit more if you like.
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay. It's like it's impossible for me to tell how sincerely he believes in anything, because I do think the guy's just kind of dumb and knows he has a good thing going, you know? But I don't know what to say if you watch The Quartering Man. Have you seen the guy's thumbnails? He's still using like Big Red and like the person with like the orange neon vest crying because Trump won. I mean, it feels like whenever you watch a quartering video, you're watching like every conservative meme that's outdated being put into a blender, and you're just kind of drinking the same thing over and over and over again. I've actually sat through a couple of his videos because I usually think that the people I dislike, there's some virtue to what they produce. Ben Shapiro's content is undeniably entertaining sometimes. There's no getting around that. Charlie Kirk is an effective and loud-spoken speaker, you know? Yeah, there's usually something somewhere. I mean, Sargon of Akkad has an accent. I don't know. With the quartering, I actually struggle there. I really, really do. Because even if I was anti-SJW, I mean, holy fuck, how many times can you watch the same video over and over? How can you get mad over this stuff? I have no idea, and I don't think he cares. I think he knows he's got like a good thing going. He doesn't want to like rustle that boat too much. Maybe he'll move to the left one day, you know, if the money dries up in the anti-SJW stuff, where they pretend that Western civilization is going to die every time like a black guy is made the lead of a show. Maybe he'll have like a come to Jesus moment. He'll move over to the left. That'd be kind of interesting to see.
He'll pull a Dave Rubin then, or Dave Rubin isn't going left, but he tried to pivot to the middle a little more after Trump lost, if you saw.
Yeah, I want to see the reverse grifters, man, or the ones coming over to the left, because we all know the why I left the left conservative types, and usually it's like they were never on the left, or by on the left they mean they voted for Obama in 2008 and then nobody in 2012, and then it's like, oh yeah, I was a big lefty and now I'm a conservative. Here's my Patreon. Maybe we'll get the opposite of that, you know, and quartering will be out like, yeah, you know, I was an anti-SJW, but then I saw the light and I realized Black lives do matter, or some shit like that. That'd be so good. I can't wait.
Yeah, he brings, well, the thing he always uses when people say that he's either racist is that he voted for Obama back in the day and that he has 2 gay black dads.
Does he?
I don't know if he actually does.
Does he actually have 2 gay black?
Or 2 black dads? Like, is that I don't know if they're gay. Are they? Does he have 2?
Are they 2 straight black dads? That would be amazing. Are they just like really good friends?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, what? Like, how did that work out? Could someone explain that to me in the chat? Like, I'm serious. I'm not trying to be facetious or rhetorical right now. Like, he always brings... I've seen him tweet that when I used to follow him on Twitter. Like,
That is fucking amazing. Maybe he's just making it up. I don't know. I mean, you know, who's going to call him on it? Someone in his fan base? Probably not.
Do you have any plans of having Hassan? I don't know if Hassan. I'll get with Hassan. I don't care. That's fine. Yeah, I'll get Ben. I would love to get Ben Shapiro on. I think I've made fun of him too much about his wife's vagina not being able to be wet, but I don't know if he would actually come on for that. Pick wet ass P word.
Have you seen Ben Shapiro's the YouTube channel where they just archive Ben Shapiro flexing?
No, I have not.
It's amazing. Dude's been yoinking it a little bit lately. He's actually getting a little bit ripped. And every once in a while during his live streams, he busts out the guns.
Ben Shapiro busting out the guns.
Yeah, no, he's popping them out. He's looking pretty good. I actually think. Oh wait, hold on, because people in chat, because the Grapers found this, they're like mad that Nick Fuentes was too much of a coward to email me for years. And now I don't care about him anymore. With regards to him, I think that he and Ben should arm wrestle, because Nick is like a twig, right? Wouldn't it be funny, like the Jewish like neocon overtaking the identitarian white white defender, not a neo-Nazi Fuentes? I think that'd be pretty cute.
Ben is getting ripped. He's trying to flex it for the other women out there. But
oh yeah, do you think that's infidelity? Oh no, he actually talks about that. He says, like, if my wife lets me, when he flexes, you know, like, all right, don't get any ideas, guys. I'm still a one-woman man. It's kind of cute. I think that Ben Shapiro's cute when he's not doing this whole thing, you know?
Yeah, he's cute when he's not grifting and just trying to be offended by something that no one should be offended by. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Vaush, you could plug your channel. Thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate this. I know you have other stuff to do today, and I will let you get back to it.
Like showering. That
Yes.
was somewhere on the docket. Probably should get around to that. Just kind of rolled out of bed to get here. Yeah, I'm Vaush. Tomorrow at noon PDT, I'm doing a 24-hour live stream for Planned Parenthood, so that the left can continue to, I don't know, murder babies or whatever. We're going to try to raise money so that can happen more than it already does. So if you want to drop in for that, then feel free to. It was a delight talking to you. I've only sort of peripherally interacted with you on socials for a while.
Yeah.
Seeing you on stream clips that people had sent me, and of course having seen your videos since well before I started the channel. So it's a delight to actually be able to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And guys, thank you for coming through for the stream. I am going to be living in front of my camera all damn day today. There's so much going on. And Vaush, thank you again for coming on, guys. And I will see you literally in like an hour. Have a good one.
Have a wonderful day.